Hi everyone, let's keep moving forward with our Google Ads course. In the previous lesson, we imported all of our pre-built campaigns from Google Sheets into Google Ads editor. Today we're going to walk through the campaign settings in detail. You can do all of this directly in the web interface of Google Ads, but I prefer to work inside Google Ads editor. Everything I'm going to show you here can be done in the browser as well. It's just a lot more convenient in the editor. If you have no idea what this program is and you landed on this video by accident, I have a separate video on the channel where I show how to install Google Ads editor and how to work with it in general. Right now I'm recording a full Google Ads training playlist. It's a complete course and it's 100% free. We move from simple things to more advanced ones, step by step, and I show you exactly what to do at each stage. Alright, let's start. We'll go through the main settings from top to bottom. You can see that I've selected all three campaigns here. The campaign names are different, some of the settings are different, but all three rows are highlighted. Sometimes you only click on one campaign, and then on the right side you only see the settings for that single campaign, whichever one is selected. In our case, we want to configure all of them at once. All the settings will be the same. Let's start with the budget. In most cases, we use average daily budget. You can also choose campaign total. That option is more for huge brands like Coca-Cola, when someone just allocates, say, $10 million for one big campaign. And the main task is to spend that money. Our job isn't to spend the budget. Our job is to make money. So we leave average daily. How much should you set? If there were a checkbox like unlimited budget, we'd actually want to use it. When you cap the budget, Google tries to spread that amount evenly throughout the day. But what do we really want? We want Google to spend aggressively. Every time someone types a relevant search query, I want our ad to show. I want to pull as much money from the market as possible. For that, an unlimited budget would be perfect. But we can't do that here. If I leave the field empty, I get an error. So for the start we put some number. For example, $10. I type 10, hit enter, the value is saved, $10 is in place, and the error disappears. Now about this average daily budget. If I set $10 per day, that's per campaign, over a month Google can spend roughly around $300, give or take. Why is it called average daily? Because on any given day, it can spend up to twice your daily amount. So if I set $10, on some days it may spend $20. If the system thinks that on that particular day there's a good chance to get more clicks or more conversions, and then it starts saving later to keep your monthly spend in line with that average daily number. That's when you look at the stats and think, I set a daily budget, but today I barely have any impressions. What's going on? The system is simply trying to compensate. In any case, at the very beginning, I strongly recommend starting with a small budget, an amount you are psychologically comfortable spending. When you launch a new campaign, you always need some time to tighten the bolts, add negative keywords, turn off something that doesn't work, add what's missing. Sometimes campaigns start bringing in clients right away. That happens. But maximum efficiency always comes with time. Either the automated strategies learn, or we manage things manually and optimize based on data. That still takes time. So yes, at the beginning we keep the budget limited, for example $10 per day. We'll come back to the EU political ads setting a bit later. Goal level setting. We don't touch anything here. We haven't configured any conversion goals yet. We'll do that in the upcoming lessons. Customer acquisition. We also leave this as is. We need customers and we need sales. Period. Whether they're new or returning customers doesn't matter for us at this point. Our task is to make money. So unless you specifically know that you need to separate new versus existing customers, don't touch this setting. Next, bid strategy. When you see these little yellow warning icons, it's not an error, it's just a recommendation. In this case, Google is basically saying, manual bidding isn't serious. Please switch to an automated strategy. Click on it. You'll see a bunch of bidding strategies, and only one of them is manual. All the others are automated. We'll have a separate lesson where I'll walk you through all of these bidding strategies. Right now we leave manual CPC. First, almost nobody uses manual CPC anymore, which means competition there is often lower. And with small budgets, you can sometimes get crazy good results. Second, this is the strategy I'll use to show you how bidding works from the inside. You don't have to stick with manual CPC forever or even launch long-term on it. But I highly recommend starting with it. No other strategy will show you the recommended bid for each specific keyword in your campaign. With manual CPC, you can see those numbers and really understand the auction. Enhanced CPC we leave disabled. In fact, right now you can't even enable it. The toggle is still visible for legacy campaigns that had it turned on before, so advertisers can see that it's active. If I switch it to enabled and click OK, I get a critical error. I open the setting again, switch it back to disabled, click OK, and the error is gone. Next, campaign type. Search is correct. There are different campaign types, but we need search. We even named the campaign Search Miami, and Google understood it correctly. Throughout the core part of this course, we'll build both search and display campaigns. Once you understand how these two work, the other types become much easier to figure out. This is a full course, not a random standalone video. The setting includes search partners. I always turn off right away. If you hover over the little warning icon, you'll see something like, your campaign has search partners disabled. Enable it to reach more customers. We don't need just more customers. We need the right customers. People who are going to book appointments and bring us money, not just a bigger reach. I recently looked at an account where 3/4 of the whole budget went to these search partners. What are search partners? There's the actual Google search, and then there are third-party sites that embed a Google search box into their pages and show ads there. That's where this traffic comes from. Very often that audience is not what you really want. People go to Google specifically to search for something. On partner sites, they may be using search for totally different reasons. It's not necessarily a hot audience that's ready to book a manicure in Miami right now. But again, add this to your checklist. Later, when you're already getting results and have a stable setup, you can test search partners and see how they perform for you. At the beginning, keep it disabled. That doesn't mean search partners are always bad. It just means we don't need this extra variable at the start. Next, include display network. Here we immediately set it to disabled as well. Google tells us this might limit your performance. You're doing it wrong and all that. But the logic for the display network is completely different. Display network is all those banner ads that follow people around the internet. It's a separate story with a very different setup. We'll build dedicated display campaigns later. They'll be marked as display right here in the campaign type. Right now, for this course, we're working on search. Later in the course, we'll build display campaigns from scratch and choose display as the campaign type step. Here in search, we're going for hyper relevance. A person goes to Google and types exactly what they need. Gel manicure Miami, nail salon near me, and so on. And we want to match that intent as closely as possible. They see the ad, think, okay, this looks like exactly what I need, and click. Display doesn't work like that. People are just browsing websites, scrolling news, chatting, doing their own thing. At some point in the past, they searched for nails or manicure. And now, based on cookies and signals, we show them some nail-related banners. But maybe at this exact moment they are not in the mood to book anything. Or they're at work or on the couch watching Netflix with family. The intent is way colder. In display, we'll either dump a large list of keywords into a single ad group, or more likely, we'll use ready-made audiences. Very similar to how targeting works in Facebook ads. The approach there is very different from search. So you cannot just stick display network on a search campaign and hope for the best. If you do that, Google will happily burn your budget on random placements, often without images, because we didn't even upload display creatives into this campaign. Technically, we can add images to search campaigns as well. I'll show this in the next lesson. But search and display still work very differently. Scroll a bit further. Start date. I usually don't change it. You can set a specific start date in the future if you want to launch right before some event. But Google doesn't work like Facebook, where ads often start almost instantly. In practice, it can take a couple of days before impressions really ramp up, especially with new campaigns. So I usually leave the default creation date here. End date. You can leave it empty if you don't need the campaigns to automatically stop on a specific day. Stopping campaigns on a set end date works reliably, unlike the start date behavior. Lift measurement. We simply skip this. In 99% of cases, you don't need to touch it at all. Broad match keywords. This setting lets you automatically convert all the keywords in a selected campaign into broad match. Personally, I think this is a very questionable feature. We'll work with match types directly on the keyword level in the upcoming lessons. I suspect Google puts this control here just so more advertisers would accidentally turn broad match on across their whole campaign. We'll use all match types, broad, phrase, exact, but we'll do it properly, keyword by keyword, not with one global toggle. So here we leave it in the default, off, use keyword match types mode, and don't touch it. Add schedule, click edit. This is a pretty cool feature. You can specify when your ads should show and when they shouldn't. On top of that, you can even lower or raise bids for certain hours or days, although that doesn't work with every bidding strategy. However, in the overwhelming majority of cases, you should not start by limiting your ad schedule. We'll upload the campaign to the account, then go into the web interface, look at the data, and only then fine-tune ad schedules. We'll have a separate lesson where I show you exactly how to adjust bid modifiers by time of day and day of week. Why shouldn't you cut hours right away? Sometimes clients tell me, let's just turn the ads off at night. I don't answer calls after 8 p.m. anyway. I'm thinking, what a brilliant decision. That was sarcasm. Look at your website. Can people leave a request there at night? Of course they can. But people watch all sorts of experts on YouTube and then happily shut down their campaigns at night. For us, that's fantastic. Why? Because cost per click is determined in an auction. The more advertisers are bidding and the more they're willing to pay, the higher the CPC. At night, when all these smart guys switch off their campaigns, competition drops and clicks become cheaper. We can vacuum up this cheaper traffic while they sleep. Same story with weekends. Traffic is often much cheaper on Saturdays and Sundays. So if users on your site can purchase online or leave a request 24/7, just put a note somewhere like, we'll get back to you during business hours, but you can send a request anytime, and keep your campaigns running. Later, when we have enough data, we'll analyze performance by hour and day, and then, yes, we might add bid adjustments. Here we lower bids a bit, here we raise them a bit, depending on where your cost per lead is better or worse. If you have a niche where ads absolutely must not run at certain times, say you legally can't take bookings at night or your call center truly cannot handle it, then you can add an ad schedule and cut those hours. I'll still show this in a dedicated lesson, but at the very beginning, in almost all real-world cases, we don't use ad schedules. We keep it simple. No schedule, close this window. Next up, devices. Let's click it. By default, all available devices is selected. I'll stretch the window vertically so you can see more. Now I'll select Let me choose. On the left side, we can pick specific operating systems: Android, iOS, Windows, macOS, and so on. On the right side, we can choose specific carriers or Wi-Fi only. For example, we could target only Wi-Fi or only T-Mobile or several carriers at once. If you really know why you need that, maybe you're running a special app that only works on a particular OS version, or you're doing something exotic with carriers, then go ahead. But in most local lead gen campaigns, you don't need to touch any of this. So we close it and move on. Scroll down a bit. Here we have bid adjustments for computers, mobile phones, tablets, and TV screens. We can set them all the way down to -100%. If you set -100% for TV screens, your ads will never show on TVs. It's relevant mainly for Display Network and YouTube and Google Video Partners. You'll hear a lot of people say, turn off TV right away, it's useless. You don't know that at the start. If this were a display campaign, it might make sense. People rarely click banners from their TV and then go fill out a long form. It's just not convenient. In that case, yes, I'd likely cut TV. But for search campaigns, if someone sees your ad while sitting in front of their TV, their phone is literally right next to them. They can just pick it up and call the number. No problem. And in any case, traffic volumes from TV screens are tiny. You won't go broke because of it. The same goes for computers, mobiles and tablets. In some accounts, after analyzing a few weeks or months of data, I do sometimes completely switch off desktop and leave only mobile. But at launch, I normally target all devices. Then make decisions based on actual performance. Next, ad rotation. Right now in each ad group, we actually have just one ad. It's a responsive search ad. Inside that one ad, we have multiple headlines and descriptions. Google mixes them around to find the best performing combinations. Before responsive ads existed, each ad group contained multiple separate ads, and we tested them against each other. That's when ad rotation really mattered. Back then, I typically chose rotate ads indefinitely, so that impressions were distributed more evenly between the ads. After we gathered enough data, I'd either switch to optimization or just pause the weak ads. In our case, since we're testing variations inside one responsive ad, we just leave the default setting as is. We're not running A/B tests between multiple standard text ads here. Frequency capping. For search, this setting is not needed. If someone keeps searching again and again, we actually want to show up every time. We want to be the salon that gets that booking, so we don't limit frequency for search. In display campaigns, it's a different story. There you often show banner ads, and that's where the concept of banner blindness comes in. People see your banner, then again, and eventually their brain just starts ignoring it. At that point, your impressions are basically worthless. There, yes, we usually set some frequency cap, and even then, not in every case. For search, we keep it at no cap and forget about it. Location and language targeting we leave on campaign level. No changes here. Language targeting. Right now we have English selected. Let's click and look at what it actually means. This is not the language the person speaks in real life, and not even the language of their search queries. This is the language of the browser interface. Let me show you what that means in practice. I'll add Spanish and click OK. Now we have two languages, English and Spanish. That means we'll show ads to users whose browser UI is in English or Spanish. Now I'll go back in and remove Spanish so only English is selected again. If you think that now Spanish-speaking users will never see your ads, that's not true. The browser could be in Chinese. It doesn't matter. What matters for search is the language of the query itself. If someone types our keyword in Spanish or English and they are in the right location, they can still see the ad. So you can safely choose all languages, and you'll still only show when someone types the right query. In practice, you can leave just English and not overthink it. I'm explaining this simply so you understand what this setting really controls. Remember, this is a full course. I want you to understand how things work, not just blindly copy my clicks. Let's move on. Location targeting works primarily based on IP addresses. Not only IP, Google uses many signals, but IP is still a key factor. In our case, we're dealing with a local business, so there's no point in showing ads to the entire United States. That's a very common beginner mistake. Leave United States or all countries as Google suggested and forget about it. We're going to change that. If I click the pencil icon here, I won't get a small pop-up. Instead, the editor takes me to the Keywords and Targeting Locations section. You can also open it manually from the left sidebar. I'm emphasizing this because the interface is still new to you, and I want you to understand where you are when windows start jumping around. In reality, it's all very simple, and after a day or two, you'll feel comfortable. But for now, let me show you exactly what opens and where to come back to if you need to tweak locations later. Here, in the middle, we see locations for our campaigns. Even though all three campaigns are selected on the left, currently only one location row is active in the middle column. So if I edit it now, I'd only change that one campaign. That's why I press Ctrl A in the middle column. to select all rows and edit all of them at once. The location column is highlighted in yellow because we can type whatever we want there. For example, random text. And Google doesn't automatically know what you meant. So we click the pencil icon and type the actual location we want. We are interested in Coral Gables, so I start typing that. Here are the options. Notice that Coral Gables exists both as a city and as a neighborhood. Be very careful here. If you choose the wrong type, you'll be showing ads somewhere completely different from what you had in mind. Same story with Washington. You can easily end up targeting the state of Washington instead of Washington, D.C., or vice versa. There are even cities called Washington outside the US altogether. That's just one example of how easy it is to mess this up. For now, I'll select Miami as the location. We'll come back to Coral Gables in a separate detailed geo-targeting lesson. In our case, both Miami and Coral Gables are not ideal starting points. And I deliberately chose this awkward spot between different administrative units to show you how to handle it later. So I select Miami, click OK, and the yellow warning icon disappears. Now, just to show you something, I'll manually type United States again, so the yellow warning comes back. If you're absolutely sure that this is the location you want and it's typed correctly, you can click Check Locations at the top and Google will validate it. If it recognizes the location, the warning disappears. I'll switch back to Miami again. Right now I'll intentionally make a small mistake to show you what can happen. Before changing the location, I didn't select all 3 location rows. I had only one row active, so I changed the location in just one campaign. To fix that, I select the remaining 2 campaigns separately and set Miami there as well. Then I go back to the campaigns section and select all campaigns again in the middle column. Next to location targeting, we still see a yellow warning. Let's hover over it to see what Google wants from us. If we scroll all the way up and hover over EU political ads, we see the exact same description that we saw near location targeting. At the beginning of the lesson, I said we'd come back to this setting. Here we are. Click Fix. Choose. No, I don't plan to use the selected accounts to run EU political ads. And click OK. Done. Remember, in the previous lesson I said that we needed to set this both at the campaign level, which we did back then, and at the account level. That's exactly what we've just done. Notice we're now in account settings. Go back to campaigns. No more warnings. Select all 3 campaigns. Scroll down to where we left off. No issues under location targeting either. Next is content exclusions. I'll open it, but we won't change anything here. It's relevant mainly for display network and YouTube or Google video partners. For search it doesn't really matter. A person typed what they need into Google, so we're not worried about content categories. You can see that written right in the description. Display network and Google video partner inventory, and so on. Close it. Next, targeting method. We've set the location to Miami, and now we are choosing how to target Miami. 1. People in or who show interest in your targeted locations. This includes people whose IP is in Miami and people who are outside of Miami but show interest in it. So with this option we show ads not only to those who are physically in Miami at that moment, but also to folks who've been looking up stuff about Miami. Google labels this as recommended, and in many cases it really is a good option, but not for us. For our nail salon example, I want people who are physically in our local areas when they're searching. 2. People in or regularly in your targeted locations. This targets people who actually are in our location or regularly visit it. Maybe they live in Fort Lauderdale, but commute to Miami for work, or the other way around. It's not literally must be standing inside Miami this second, but it's the closest option to what we need. Real local people whose lives are tied to this area. 3. People searching for your targeted locations. This one is rarely useful. A typical use case would be real estate, when someone is searching for property in a city where they don't currently live. For example, they're in New York searching for condo for sale Miami. But even then, they're already adding the city name to the search query. You're covering that with your keywords anyway. So the practical benefit of this option is limited. For our campaigns, we'll choose the second option, people in or regularly in your targeted locations. Now, exclusion method. We've set where we want to show ads. This controls how we handle places we want to exclude. For example, we could show ads across all of Miami, but not show them in one specific neighborhood. The methods are people in your excluded locations, people who are physically located in those areas you've excluded, people in or who show interest in your excluded locations. This one is strange. Imagine our target area is Miami, but we exclude New York. Someone is in Miami, they fit our salon perfectly. But yesterday they were reading the news about New York, maybe checking weather or some event. Should that really disqualify them from seeing our ads? Of course not. That's why I've literally never used this second option. So we stick with the recommended people in your excluded locations. Let me show you how to add those excluded locations. We already have locations. That's where we show up. Now let's uncheck hide empty types, so the empty sections also appear. I was really happy when Google added this little checkbox. Before that, the list on the left was crazy long and it was hard to navigate. Look at how many entities are here. Over the course of this course, we'll work with most of them, and the rest will still be pretty intuitive once you know the basics. Now I check hide empty types again, and the sidebar is clean. But that was a small side note. Right under locations, you'll see locations negative. That's what we need. Right now it's empty. You won't always need negative locations, but you should know how to use them. Click Add Negative Location. We can exclude locations at the campaign level or at the ad group level. In our structure, we will not exclude locations on the ad group level, because our campaigns and ad groups are already structured logically. Changing locations on the group level would just create a mess. So we choose campaign level negative location. A window opens asking which campaigns we want to add exclusions to. We'll add them to all three, check all boxes and click OK. Now the behavior is the same as with regular locations. Click the pencil icon next to negative location and type, for example, Overtown. I choose neighborhood. In this configuration, we show ads across all of Miami, except Overtown. You can also exclude a specific zip code. For example, just for one campaign, say search Miami manicure. We could add zip 33125. Click OK and that zip is excluded. This is just an example. I'll remove it now. Go back to campaigns and select all campaigns again in the middle column. There's a lot more here, but we've already covered all the core stuff. Scroll down to URL options, tracking template. This is where you'd paste your UTM parameters if you want to track campaign data in external tools. These days Google's own tracking is pretty good. Inside Google Ads you'll see detailed stats even without your own UTMs. The platform adds its own parameters, so that all the reports work. So in many cases you don't need UTMs at all. But there are scenarios where UTMs are absolutely necessary. You're using external analytics tools that don't know how to read Google's internal parameters, or you're pushing data into a CRM and want deals to be automatically tagged by campaign, ad group, keyword, whatever. That's a separate topic. I've reserved a full lesson just for UTMs, where we'll build proper templates and connect everything. For now, at the start, in most cases, you can leave this field empty, and you'll still have good stats in Google Ads. Next super important thing, keywords negative. You already know why we need negative keywords. We covered this in detail in previous lessons. Now I'll show you how to actually set them up. Go back to our Google Sheet, to the negative tab. I have just 4 negative keywords here. That's nothing. Earlier I told you to go through all the keywords on the Sort tab and pull out every irrelevant query. For the sake of keeping this video from becoming 2 hours long, I didn't do that on camera. But properly, we should have gone through all 3425 keywords. For this lesson, I'll stick to these 4 words. That's actually nice, because when we launch, we'll get to see dirty search terms in the reports. And you'll see with your own eyes how much junk traffic we paid for, and how to clean it up. So highlight these 4 negative keywords in the sheet. We separated them on purpose, remember. Copy them and switch to Google Ads Editor. Here we don't click Add Negative Keyword. That would add them one by one. Instead, we click Make Multiple Changes. Press Ctrl+V or click Paste from clipboard. The words appear in the import window. We don't have any column headers here, so editor asks where to import this data. When we imported ads and regular keywords, we had headers, now we don't. If you want, you can add a keyword header in the sheet, but I'm showing the no headers option here. So we tell editor that this column is keyword. Then we choose Use Selected Destinations, add as campaign level negative keywords, and select the campaigns we want. I add them to all of them, because the campaigns are structurally identical. Negative keywords can also be added at the account level or the ad group level. But in the structure I am teaching you, the most convenient and transparent option is campaign level. That way everything is in front of your eyes. Click Process. The tool says it will add 12 negative keywords. Why 12 if we only have 4? Because we are adding them to 3 campaigns. 3 campaigns times 4 keywords equals 12. Click Finish and Review Changes. At the top, click Keep All to apply the import. If we sort by a negative keyword now, we'll see that each word appears 3 times, once in each campaign. I'll resize the column so it's easier to read. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If I click on a specific campaign, you'll see just 4 negative keywords for that campaign. And at the bottom you'll see 1 of 4, meaning 1 row selected out of 4. By default, Google adds them with broad match type. And for single word negatives, that's fine. Now let's go back to the sheet, select Russian manicure and Chrome for nails with hyphen, copy them. In editor, we again choose Make Multiple Changes, paste, set the column as keyword. Choose the same campaigns and click Process. This time it says 6 added. And you already know why. 2 phrases times 3 campaigns. Click Finish and Review Changes, but don't hit Keep All just yet. New rows are highlighted with that light blue color. In the left menu, I'll select all campaigns so I can see everything, not just one campaign. These newly imported phrases are highlighted. I select them and change the match type from broad to phrase. We imported them separately because they consist of several words. It's a phrase. And we want them as phrase match negatives. After a separate import, they're easy to spot because of the highlight color. You could also specify the match type directly in the sheet and skip this step. I just find this flow convenient. I didn't press any global save button here. When I changed the match type, the changes were saved automatically. Let's move on. Open Ad Groups, press Ctrl A to select them all. Here we need to set a starting max CPC bid. Any realistic value is fine for now. Once we upload everything into the online account, we'll revisit bids in more detail. For now, I'll put $1 per click and press Enter. All the yellow warnings disappear. If we go to keywords, we'll see that all keywords already have bids, but they're shown in gray. That's because the numbers are pulled from the ad group level. We set bids there, and they flow down to the keywords. Later, in a separate lesson about bidding, I'll show you how to manage bids directly on the keyword level as well. But for now, just do it the way I'm showing. Set bids at the ad group level and don't overcomplicate things. Right now, everything we've done exists only locally on your computer. And that's great. The Google Ads web interface is slow. It glitches all the time, and it's hard to see everything at once. In editor, it's much easier. You pick a campaign, see all of its entities, double-check everything, and only once you're happy, you push it to the server. In the next lesson, we're going to add ad assets, what used to be called extensions. This is a really powerful feature. Phone numbers, site links, callouts with your benefits and so on. All of that makes your ad bigger and more noticeable. You can also add images to search campaigns now, not always but quite often. And that looks really cool in the results. In the next video I'll show you what that looks like and how to set it up. For now, go through everything we set up in this lesson and replicate it in your own account. In the next lesson, we'll add those ad assets. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. Think bigger and make money.